I begin my second week of Hunger Strike 2022, and I'm going on a hunger strike for personal reasons. I have family issues and workplace issues that I think could use a little sit down and discuss. And I'm going to start with my family issues because today I'm also fasting for another reason. Kelly Clarkson turns 40 years old today, and unfortunately, she recently had, I don't want to use that D word, but she had discovered another relationship that she likes better than the kind of relationships that too many of us worship and think there's no way around, right? And so she begins a new chapter in her life. And my family doesn't approve of me being solosexual. I first discovered I was solosexual when I was working on my PhD. And then I had a decade where I kind of oscillated back and forth. I never really felt any romance toward anybody. I mostly felt romance toward myself. Sometimes I hook up with other people in order to gain experience. That's how I feel, at least. My family will obviously beg to differ. So I just before COVID-19, I had a girlfriend and I was thinking of proposing to her. Obviously, COVID-19 had other plans for us, and I went home and I started writing an AI for the game of backgammon. I took up bowling, and I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, my mom is very disheartened that I have become fully solosexual. And every time this subject comes into play, you can tell her getting very agitated. She beats around the bush, though. I know she's unhappy about my solosexuality, but she beats around the bush. And as a result, we haven't been on good speaking terms for half a year now. Every time we talk, I can't get more than a few words out there before she wants to interrupt. I know she's unhappy about something, and which makes it very frustrating to even talk because you know you're going to be interrupted. You have to organize your sentences in a way that if you get interrupted, you're not going to be taken the wrong way. That's a very agonizing way to talk, by the way. I encourage you to think about how you would talk to me or anybody else if you had to prepare for being interrupted, right? Your words are not going to come out right. And the problem is that I can't get more than 10 words out before she interrupts. That's her attention span. I've gotten used to that idea. The problem is that, okay, she interrupts and then gives however many minutes of lecture she decides at that point. Sometimes it's half an hour of lecture. Now I can come back to my discussion. Well, you don't just begin on word 11, right? After half an hour, right? So you got to repeat the first 10. And then she interrupts with another 15-minute interruption. And if she sat down and realized how happily solosexual I am compared to how suboptimally heterosexual I was 3 years ago, oh my God, she would accept it. Now, this is a very painful subject for me, and the reason I'm going to such extremes, because believe me, even though I love intermittent fasting, I hate it when it's multiple days on end like how I've been doing recently. So I've been fasting 30-some hours at least twice a week, and then most other days I've been consuming less than 1,500 calories a day. I hate it, and my body hates it too, and I probably couldn't do this for more than 6 months and still live. But the reason this is so dire right now is that I have two grandparents who are in their late 80s, early 90s, and I think it would really be beautiful to patch this up before they pass. And given how hard COVID was on them over the last 2 years, and we don't need to add relationship drama like this. And today happens to be Kelly Clarkson's birthday, and I really pray that she's not going through this with her family. The good thing about Kelly Clarkson is she has a big family that supports her, right? How often do you get into a relationship breakup and somebody you don't even know fasts 24 hours for you, right? Anyway, I thought I would point this out. And then I have some drama at my workplace. So I work at two different places, and in one of those places, I'm the only guy who's solosexual. And so people just think my needs are unimportant. You know, if there's vacation, there's conflict. You know, I often get put on the back burner. I mean, I wish my boss would tell me that. At least then I could respond, right? People think that discrimination means that your boss comes up to you, says, you know, you're fired for being gay or whatever, right? You didn't get the promotion because you're too old. No, that kind of discrimination is actually a lot more pleasant because you can actually respond to it, right? Even though I'm old, I have these skills and all that, right? If it's implicit, you don't even get to respond, right? And so that's what a lot of people forget. Now, at my other workplace, I'm just the other way around. I'm the oldest guy in there, and the other people are still living with their parents or grandparents, and they're still going to school. They have drama with their friends and all that, and I'm past all that. And so my boss, he doesn't relate to that. He has grandkids as well. He's been happily married for, who knows, 40, 50, 60 years. And so he doesn't beat at that wavelength. So if there's any uncertain hours or difficult hours, he calls me first, right? I probably have more phone calls from him for unexpected hours than anybody else. And I wish he would sit down and discuss this. I tried to talk to him about this a couple weeks ago, just before we had a week where business would be slow, but he refused to talk. He just said, "Oh, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you." I've never sat down with him and talked more than 10 minutes to see if we can work out. I wouldn't say work out something where he gives me something, but work out a win-win situation, right? Hey, I get that there's a lot of uncertainty. I'm happy to take care of it. Could you see to it that I get to go to this conference in the summer, right? A win-win situation. He doesn't want to sit down. And so I'm thinking, after I lose another 10, 15 pounds and I look like I just came out of a concentration camp, I'm hoping my family will finally sit down with me and we can review what's been going on over the last 2 years and why this is my happy life. They don't need to worry about the fact that I'm not in a relationship or getting married. They don't need to worry about the day when I'm old and there's nobody to take care of me, because I know how to enjoy my life. I want to sit down with my boss and let him know that what's near and dear to me and how can I make this a win-win situation. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to sit down at the table yet with either of these people. The other people in my life, I can tolerate that, right? So I took up bowling. When I go to the bowling alley, there's clearly a lot of prejudice, but so what? I'm there to enjoy bowling, right? That's a different story. Anyway, happy birthday to Kelly Clarkson. She turns 40 years old today. But at the same time, be open-minded and listen sometimes, right? We have 2 ears for that reason, right?